Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me here today on CloudChats. My name is Pat Martinez. I've been away, but I'm back now, and I'm really happy to introduce our host for today. But a moment of your time, if I can. I have been the president and CEO of Leadership in the Clouds for many years. When I started, this whole idea of CloudChats was to bring remote learning to all of you. And I'm glad that those that keep following us still are on board as they join the chat today. Today, I'm very honored to also pass the baton over to Claudia Lombana. She is our Chief Operating Officer. She also has been a leadership strategist, but in communication. And she is an Emmy Award winner and journalist and a national consumer expert. She is responsible for delivering and implementing communication strategies and comprehensive supports plans to achieve client-specific marketing and communication goals. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today, Claudia Lombana. Claudia, thank you for passing on the baton. I'm so glad to see you. I know you're on the West Coast. How's the weather over there?
It's gorgeous. Thank you, Pat. I'm happy to be here and really happy to be joining the Leadership in the Clouds team as a COO, as Pat mentioned. My background is as a journalist, and I have a couple of Emmy Awards, as Pat also mentioned. Communications is so critically important to individuals and companies alike. So being able to join the Leadership in the Clouds team in that role is allowing us as a team to help create impact in the workplace. And we're looking forward to hopefully working with many of you. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Maria Garza. We're going to bring her on here in just a moment. But during this chat, I'm going to ask that you write your questions in the chat. We'll refer back to those questions at some point during our conversation with Maria. And any questions that remain unanswered at the end of the program, we'll go to Maria and we'll have those on Facebook so that she can respond to your answers as well. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome our guest today, Maria Garza. Maria, are you there?
No, she's going to be with us in a moment. I wanted you to talk a little bit about Leadership in the Clouds, if you can, and just talk about what we need to do. I'm going to go off camera with everybody for a moment to give you that moment, and then I'll be right back.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pat. Yeah, so as I was mentioning earlier, at Leadership in the Clouds, we're really striving to lead organizational change for companies around the country. Pat has quite a deep bench of experts that can help with this in all areas, from DEI to communications to marketing. Her leadership skills, of course, are unparalleled, and so many of you perhaps have already worked with Pat and perhaps already know a lot about Pat. But again, I joined the team back in October of last year. Pat and I actually met about a year ago during an International Women's Day event that was virtual, and I was hosting that event for the Atlanta Women's Chamber of Commerce. Pat and I connected at that time in March of 2021 and began our discussions. And in October is when we started working together, and I became the COO of Leadership in the Clouds. As I mentioned, communications really, really important for all of us, and a little bit of what we're going to talk about today with Maria, who I see has now joined us. Welcome, Maria. Thank you for being here today. If you don't mind just saying a few words, greeting our audience, and then we can kick off our conversation.
Claudia, what a pleasure to see you. Thank you, and good afternoon. And good afternoon to all the folks that join us through the cloud. It's my honor to be here with you. And what a special month it is to celebrate Women's International History, right? And the wonderful things that women are doing throughout the country, throughout the world to make things really happen. So I am honored to be here. I am honored to join your team, and I appreciate it. And so we're looking forward to a chat, a conversation como en familia.
Bienvenida. Gracias, Maria. So we're going to talk a little bit about organizational growth and success. And we know that there are many elements to drive that success. I'm wondering what you consider to be the one element that enhances sustainability in today's marketplace for a nonprofit in particular.
Well, sometimes it's difficult to single out one element, but I will definitely, without a doubt, say that it's a human element. the biggest asset and the contributor to everything that we do successfully in any organization, be a private sector or nonprofit government, is a human element. If we have and if we invest in our workforce, and if we support them and we value them and we respect them, that is the key to everything that we do. Second, I would put to that would be the resources, right? As much as we want to offer and support our workforce to make things easier for them, the resources are needed in order to provide better work environments, in order to provide the tools that are needed to do your job more efficiently and more effectively. So those two things, but primarily it's the human element.
Thank you for that. That's really important to point out. And sometimes we forget that we are dealing with humans. Before we continue, I would love to hear a little bit about, I think it's really important for those who are joining us today to understand mission and purpose. And to me, your mission and purpose is a very noble one with the work that you're doing there with your company. Can you tell us a little bit more about the organization and just your background as a migrant worker and why this cause is important to you?
Oh, Claudia. So at East Coast Migrant Head Start Project, we work with small children. We are a Head Start organization. We have been in existence for 30 years. We are approximately $7 million strong, $70 million strong. We are in 10 different states. We have 50 educational centers, educational campuses. So we're very busy providing services to the children of migrant and seasonal farm workers. These services are comprehensive as it relates to the educational needs of children from ages 0 to 6 years of age. And we also support the parents. We're very comprehensive. So we have a parent engagement component where we teach our parents how to identify and be the first advocates, right, for their children, and the first doctors and the first teachers. That it comes natural and they already know it, but then we give them those resources. We empower them with that knowledge through our components that are very, very strong. And so East Coast has been in existence for 40 years. We started in Virginia. Then we moved on to Florida, following the migration patterns of our families, of our farm worker families. As I mentioned, we're now in 10 states. For me to be today the CEO of this amazing organization, it just fills me with pride. I grew up as a migrant farm worker myself. I was not able to, I never attended a preschool program. I worked in the field since I was 10 years old. And through my teenage years, that's what I did. I dropped out of school, and then I helped my parents following the crops in multiple states, many states. Funny enough, some of those states and some of those cities are where we have a presence today and where we provide services to our families. So later in life, I was able to go to high school, university. I attended Miami-Dade College, where I got my AA degree. I attended Barry University, where I got my bachelor's degree. And later on, Florida International University, where I received my master's degree in marketing and social media. So opportunities always exist, Claudia. And this is something that I love about what we do at East Coast, because my background fits and it's just perfect for me now being the CEO and executing this position because of the understanding that I have of the farm worker population. You don't have to obviously come from this background, but the fact that I do helps a lot in the understanding and sharing my vision and my passion with my colleagues who embrace already. They are so passionate and so committed to providing services to the migrant farm worker families.
Of course. Thank you so much for that explanation. It's, I think, helpful to hear the passion that you have for this cause, and that it's not just, a job, that this is really important work that you're doing there. And of course, as you mentioned, the people that you work with, your colleagues, your organization, human capital, the development of talent, we know is essential to a growing operation. Today, we're addressing more than just making sure we have effective onboarding processes. It's also more than just diversity. It's about being more inclusive in our practices. And we know that diversity is being invited to this party, but inclusiveness is also being asked to dance. So what are your thoughts on the importance of understanding, having talent development and having the plan for that talent in place, keeping in mind that we all need to be invited to that same dance? How do you balance those two?
Well, I am so proud to share with you that at East Coast, we have been partying since day one. We were created by a phenomenal nun, Geraldine O'Brien, and she had the vision, right, to create this organization and provide services to these migrant farm worker families. So that was a woman that started the vision and then took it into an execution of actually doing something about what the need that she saw and created this organization. Today, we are over 1,000 strong. Approximately 90% of our workforce is female. Within that space, our women come from everywhere. We have Latinas, we have Caucasians, we have African Americans, and we have others. We have Asians, we have folks from Asia meaning India, and other countries. So we are very, very well represented and very diversified. Our males, of course, also our male workforce. We have two of our chiefs, actually three of our chiefs are males, two are Caucasian, one is Latino. We take diversity and inclusion very serious here at East Coast. We not only talk the talk, but we walk the walk, right? We promote from within every time we have opportunity. In fact, we are creating a leadership institute that we should be rolling out next year to continue to provide more opportunities to widen the gates, if you will, for more of our own workers and our own workforce that aspire to grow, to have that opportunity to do so. Leadership succession is very important to us. And I love to bring folks from outside, but who better than the ones that already know us, who we know have invested in our children, in our mission. I want them to know that they have an opportunity to grow with us. So not only do we have a fiesta, everybody in our tent is dancing and having a good time.
That's wonderful. And it is important, talking about the strength of women. It's part of the reason we're here today. It is International Women's Month. We just had International Women's Day, and we're all doing our part to kind of celebrate that and make sure that we celebrate one another as women, no matter what we're working on or working in. What advice would you give to women seeking to create a sustainable change?
Well, before I go to the advice, I want to give a shout out to two of the most fearless women that work in this organization. Our Chief of Staff, Pat Martinez, and our Chief of Innovation, Christine Alvarado, two females that are knocking it out of the park every single day with their innovation, with their ideas, with their grit, with their boldness, to address issues every single day that are not easy. At the end of the day, we are a nonprofit organization with limited resources, right? And we have to make things work, and we always have to give the best of ourselves. And these two ladies do so every single day. So shout out to you ladies on Women's History Month. And as to advice to other women, was that your question? Now that I got a little distracted.
It was, what advice would you give to women seeking to create sustainable change?
Sustainable change is not easy. It starts with having the resources, the economical resources to be able to be sustainable. My advice for any woman, regardless, it would be to believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself and your vision, the resources will come. Sustainable change, if your vision is to implement an initiative or make a change whatever you envision, follow your gut feeling. We are great when it comes to intuition. We are great when it comes to intuition, but we doubt ourselves often. Why? Because the decision makers are still mostly male. They look at us when we come up with a compassionate idea or something that is touchy feeling, and the minute they change their eyes and they look at you differently, you go like, oh my God, I better change it. I'm not saying the right language. Forget that. Trust yourself. You are empowered, because if you are in a position of leadership, that's where you belong. And this sustainable change that you're envisioning, it's real. Bring the resources to the table, and we'll talk about resources because it's not easy, right? And especially when we work in areas of nonprofit, which most of the females do. And if we're not in the for-profit sector, we always think of our activities from a point of scarcity rather from the point of abundance, right? So it's a mind shift, and we'll work on that.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I wanted to ask you about a time in your career or in your role at the organization where you faced uncertainty and how you had to be resourceful to innovate and kind of solve for that uncertainty and adversity.
Claudia, over my 40 years of professional career, I have faced multiple times of uncertainty. But I have to admit that the biggest one and the toughest one has been what we face against COVID. The incredible unknowns every single day that we had to navigate and face as we approached, as we were swallowed by COVID, by this pandemic. I started my tenure as CEO of East Coast on March the 3rd, 2020. That week, President Trump declared a state of emergency, the whole nation, and we went into shelter in place, thinking that this pandemic or this unknown COVID was just going to be a 2-week situation, and then we were going to be able to get back to work. It didn't happen. We closed our doors for the first time as an entire organization, and we sent our children home. As we know, migrant farm worker parents never stopped working. Agriculture, the crops were ready to, they were ripening and they were ready to be picked. And America did not stop eating. Those vegetables and those crops needed to be put on the table of all of us. So we closed our organization, our doors for 3 months. We knew immediately that we needed to pivot and open the doors as soon as we could, because those children, as young as 2 years of age, were taken by their parents to the fields in order to make a living, right? So we knew we needed to open. That challenge was incredible. We have a team of chiefs that we all huddled. We started looking at the possibilities. What was it that we could do? How could we open? We have strong protocols for safety and procedures. We implemented them. We increased them. We spent a lot of money, and we opened our doors. So we accomplished that. The biggest challenge and the biggest uncertainty was when we got the word that our first child had tested positive. And in that same educational center, a second child tested positive. And the same week, a third child tested positive. So the media was coming to our site, and I had to really think, did we make the right decision? Are we on the right track? What if more children get sick? What are we going to do about it? At that time, nobody was dying. Thank God. But we knew it was very serious. So I had to revisit every single one in my mind quickly as I was en route to meet the media to that educational center. In my mind, I had to revisit every one of the decisions that we made. Did we do the right thing? Was I okay in leading the team and pushing for us to open the doors? And you know what? My heart was on the right place. My decisions were on the right place. I did not have to second guess myself, because The outcome was going to be the outcome. We were still facing this unknown, but we were on the right place. Why? Because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children were in a safe place, and the protocols of safety that we implemented were high. And at that moment, we did the best we could. And I felt confident that we had done the right thing. Not easy. Then the worst one was when one of our colleagues, unfortunately, passed away to COVID. But each decision you revisit, you ponder, you reflect. And as a woman, I am telling you, trust yourself, trust your decision-making abilities. You don't make, I know as women, we don't make these decisions lightly. We are mothers, we are daughters, we are wives, we are friends, we are sisters, and we're always, always helping one another. So when we make a decision of this magnitude in our working places, we are correct.
And it was such a difficult time for so many, and particularly small businesses. So talking about how we had to pivot, certainly important. And those moments of uncertainty and distress that we all faced certainly taught us a lot of lessons. So I think important to point out. So we're gonna shift the conversation a little bit. I wanna make sure we get to a couple of our audience questions. Anna Cardoso is asking if there are any openings at your organization, which is a question that I love. So clearly she wants to come and work for you. So I'll let you answer that.
Thank you so much, Anna, for asking this question. Absolutely. At East Coast, we're always seeking talent, the best talent. Anybody that loves to serve children, anybody that is looking for the best place to work. We have great benefits. We have 15 federal holidays that we honor. We pay competitive wages. In fact, let me share that we just recently raised our minimum entry-level wages to $15 an hour. And our employees have excellent work environment. So we're always open. Please go to our website, www.eastcoastmigrant.org, and look at our career center, our career tab. You're going to see there that we have many openings in many capacities, in administration, in nutrition, in education, of course, but also in environment, in the environmental department. We have an incredible amount of openings. We're always looking for good people.
That's wonderful. Alfred Ramirez, one of our consultants at Leadership in the Cloud, says hello. He just joined the chat as well.
Oh my God.
Leadership, this next question that I have.
That is a friend from so many years ago. Hi, Albert. Thank you.
That's wonderful. At Leadership in the Clouds, this next question kind of ties into the work that we do. We work with corporate teams, as you know, private businesses, nonprofits, and individuals to really create environments for success and for growing either your position by your leadership style or your organization as a whole. How did understanding your leadership style help you evolve? This is a question from Claire. I don't have a last name, but how did you, your leadership style and understanding your leadership style, she's asking, help you evolve in your position as a chief executive officer?
Yeah, well, understanding my leadership style makes a big difference, or understanding anybody's leadership style, right? On how you lead. As CEO, you have to look at the job from the altitude, if you will, right? Because it is not important, or is not necessary. It is important, but not necessary for me to dive into what every one of my departments do, or the departments do within the organization. But I have to be able to know enough to provide the appropriate guidance. But I want to make sure that I let every one of the chiefs and every one of the directors within organization be independent and do their thing, because that's what we hire them. So my leadership style is one where, I lead by compassion. I think it's very important for everybody to know that we are a family, right? And at East Coast, we are a family. I know that in the world of employment, we always say, well, what happens in your home, leave your problems at home, because here you're going to work. I know that. And I expect everybody to give the best of themselves during the working hours. but at the end of the day, we're only one. So compassion to me is very important. Having said that, I lead by accountability as well. So I want to make sure that every person that is a leader in our organization grows, feels confident. I want them to be bold. I want them to make their own decisions as long as it's within the umbrella and the mission and the values of our organization. Because why am I here? Somebody saw value in me and wanted to bring my expertise to lead this organization. Why are my other leaders here? Because they have value and they bring their expertise to our organization. So I want all of us to grow and como familia, really make this organization be the best that we can be. We need resources. We always need economic resources. So I'm always looking for funding, always looking for funding. I'm always holding people accountable for their actions. But I want them to be themselves. And that's why we're together, right?
Absolutely. And all really important qualities, agreed to point out, and important for us to be able to mentor others and teach others, you know, what leadership styles are and how and what to aspire to. You know, as Pat passes the baton to me here at Leadership in the Clouds and I start hosting these cloud chats, she wanted to make sure that I asked you, Maria, if you have any questions for me before we wrap up and I get to our final questions with you, since we have, you know, 3 minutes left in our chat.
Well, Claudia, absolutely. You were mentor and obviously you had the colleague opportunity to work with Pat, a tremendous leader in the world, of course. What was one thing that you learned from her that now allows you to see her vision or your vision in the next step in this career?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I worked with her initially or spoke with her last year after we connected at the International Women's Day virtual event for the Atlanta Chamber of Commerce, I reached out to Pat because I was really interested in what I had heard her talking about in her leadership style and in Leadership in the Clouds. So I reached out to her to see if perhaps she needed a communications consultant, because that's such an important part of any organizational structure, the way we tell our stories as individuals or as companies. And that resonated with her. So that kind of started our relationship. And what I really admired about her and continue to admire about her is she can multitask like nobody, but she's also incredibly engaging as she educates, right? So it's almost like edutainment, as I like to call it. She's very educational, but she also entertains through that education. And I think that's important when we're engaging people and we're trying to not just teach people, but teach people how to lead as well. So you have to lead by example. So that really resonated with me with Pat. And I think that style that she has can really help a broad group of not just individuals, but organizations and leaders. And I wanted to be a part of that. So I'm really thrilled to be on the team and to be able to lend to the success. Okay, now in our last minute. Yeah, there she is right there.
And I was listening and I think it's very sweet of you to say that.
Now that we have you both on camera, let's get some final thoughts as we wrap this up, because we've got 1 minute left. And then I'll remind the audience that questions we didn't get to, we'll be putting them on the Leadership in the Clouds Facebook page. But Pat, Maria, second strategies to drive personal success.
So I'm going to say something and then I know she's going to close, but personal strategies. I think it's very important that as women, we educate ourselves. You have to know what you're doing. You have to prepare yourself in order to do yourself justice when opportunities come, right? And if somebody's going to open the door, then you know you're busting that door open because you're educated, you have your skill set ready to go, and don't doubt yourself. Believe in yourself because you prepare for this moment. Writing is important, believing in yourself is important, educate yourself, and continue to develop and to strengthen your network.
Wow, I have nothing more to say to that, but all I can say is that this is Women in Power. We have Maria Garza, the CEO of East Coast Migrant Head Start Project, and Claudia Lombana, an award-winning journalist that is now working with me, she is managing Leadership in the Clouds. So I want to do a little bit of debriefing on that. If you have any questions, please reach out to Claudia Lombana at leadershipintheclouds.com. I'm working with Maria Garza, following her. And as I like to say, she puts down the bricks and I put the mortar in between. We're moving very quickly, but we don't do it alone. We do it with everyone. So please visit their website, our website at www.ECMHSP.org. It's in the chat. The other thing is that please follow Claudia Lombana at Leadership in the Clouds. Ask her questions on how she can help your company level up and improve your communication and public relations. And as I always say, Claudia, when I'm closing out, I'm going to see you in the clouds. But this time I'm going to see you on the farm.
That's right.
Because without our farm workers and taking care of the people that take care of us, we don't eat. So it's a critical mission of what we're doing here at East Coast Migrant Head Start Project. Every day, I think it's rewarding. So thank you so much, Claudia, for this opportunity. Thank you, Maria, for agreeing.
Bravo por las mujeres
And thank
latinas.
you for everybody that joined us here in CloudChats.
Indeed, thank you. And I look forward to hearing from all of you, hopefully. And Pat and Maria, thank you very much. And we'll all talk soon.
Gracias.
Adios.